Hello again, artists. It is Miss Carol once again, and I am here to show you guys your PowerPoint for our new project. So our new project is all about nature people, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and show you some of the artists that we're going to be looking at for this project. So the first 4 questions that I have for you guys are, first, do you think that art mediums have boundaries? And what I mean by that is, do you think that there are limits to the things that we can do with the things that we create artwork with? So do you think that there's a limit to colored pencils? Do you think that there's a limit to crayons, to markers, to paint, whatever you use to create artwork? Do you think that there's a limit to it? Second, where do you usually find artwork at? Do you find it in your home? Do you find it in museums? Do you find it at school? Where do you usually find that at? Third, how can materials be conventional or unconventional to this building process? So what I mean by conventional or unconventional is conventional is the typical things that we use to make art. So that can be paint, paper, crayons, pencils, markers, anything like that. And then unconventional are things that you normally don't see people creating things out of artwork. So that can be like tinfoil or rocks or trees or different things like that. Those are unconventional art materials. And then my fourth question and my last question is the aspect of nature interacting with art beneficial, which means that it's good, or detrimental, which is bad? Do you think it's bad that we have nature and art going together? Is that good or bad? Our first and our big artist for this project is Thomas Dembo. He's an artist that grew up in Denmark, and he creates these nature people completely out of found materials. A lot of the materials that he uses to create these are reclaimed wood, and reclaimed wood is basically wood that he finds and gives a new purpose. So he uses, as you can see on this one on the left, he uses big tree branches that he finds. He uses like planks or driftwood. He uses anything that he can find. So he's resourceful. He's a scavenger in some way or another. And so I want you guys to think about what you feel when you look at his artwork. Do you think that his artwork's successful? What do you like about it? What would you change if you were to create something like this? Do you see any elements or principles of art in his artwork? So do you see line? Do you see color? Do you see texture? Do you see form? Do you see any of those things in his artwork? Our second artist is Andy Goldsworthy, and he is a British artist, and he makes found sculptures. So he finds things, anything he finds in the woods. So you can see on the right, he used pine needles, and on the left, he uses big tree branches and sticks and stuff. He uses anything that he can find out in the woods, and he creates sculptures out of them. And so I want you guys to look at his artwork, and how do you feel about his artwork? Do you think that it's successful? Do you think that it's unsuccessful? Do you see any elements of art in his artwork? I want you to think about what kind of things you're noticing in his artwork. Like, I know on the right one, I notice a lot of texture. I see that there's a pattern that's established. I see some color, and you can see that he even stages his sculptures out in nature. So what I mean by that is he goes out in the woods, and when he finds these things, he creates these sculptures out in the woods. And when he takes pictures and documents them, he documents them outside where he found them. And so you can see on the left, he put them in this big area in the woods, and it's like its own little structure. And then on the right, he put it down in the dirt. And so how do the different spaces that you put those in, how does that affect the meaning of the artwork? So what's the plan? What are you guys going to be doing? You guys are going to be making your own nature people. So these are going to be based off of Thomas Dembo's artwork. So you're going to be collecting and upcycling materials. You're going to be very, very resourceful. I want you guys to go out into your own yards, and you'll be finding the things that you're using out in your yards. So today, first day, we are going to brainstorm what you think your nature person is going to look like, or what you want it to look like. So the 4 things that I want you guys to do and promise that you will do is, first, I will use the elements of art that I already know to guide me. So line, color, texture, form, space, anything like that. 2, I will be as specific as possible, and I ask you guys to be specific with your sketches because it's going to help you when you are working in the later stages. 3, I will take my time and make sure that I draw light until I get it right. I do have a video for you guys showing you how I made my picture, and I did draw it in Sharpie, but I did have a little space off to the side, but I did it in Sharpie so you guys could see better. And then 4, I will use the artists that I've seen as inspiration to help guide me. So you can use Thomas Dembo, or you can use Andy Goldsworthy. And then in the later days, you guys will have other artists that you're going to be looking at that are supporting artists. And you can feel free to adapt some of their methods in your work as well. So that is the end for today. That's all you will have to look at. So you will be watching the videos and then you will get started. See you later, artists.
Hi friends, so that initial little clip you saw of my initial sketches, I basically went through a level of process of elimination, deciding what ones I really liked the most. I decided that I liked the laying down form the most, and so I ended up sketching it out. I started with a stick figure. That way it made the process a little less intimidating. After I did my stick figure, I started to flesh things out. I went in with a Sharpie so you guys could see better, but I suggest using a pencil on your sketches. That way you can go back and erase things that you do not like. So here you see that I'm adding the legs, thinking about the forms and how I want his legs to sit. I decided that I wanted to have one knee up and one leg out. That way he looked like he was laying down. You can see his big belly and his arms laying out. It's like he's relaxing in the grass. After I'm done with my sketches, I start visualizing what kind of materials I want in each space. So I said that I wanted the leaves on the arms. I said that I wanted moss on his belly. I wanted some bark for his teeth and moss for his eyes. I named him and I thought about other considerations. So how did I want him to lay? What kind of things do I want on his face? Different things like that. And so I also added little dotted lines on how I'm going to break down my armature when I work on that later. So I decided that I wanted his head to be its own piece, his belly and torso to be its own piece, his legs and his arms to be their own pieces, and I'll be making those individually and attaching them